Hey, you guys, it is Wednesday, and Wednesdays equal tea time. Come on in, come on in. If this is your first time tuning into Tea Time with Tia, I am Tia Williams. Come on. Hey, what if I told you that your identity, who you are, is connected with what you eat? Come on, you guys, let's talk about it. It's tea time.
It's tea time, it's tea time. It's tea time, it's tea time. Tia Williams.
Hey, you guys, before I introduce to you today's Tea Time with Tia topic, I wanted to share some news with you guys. I am writing a book. I know that you probably heard me say this before, but I am going to be intentional about getting this book to you guys. And God also told me to tell you guys that I'm writing a book. So that means that He is not letting me off the hook as far as writing this book. So the title of my book is called The Dating Game. Is it helping or hurting you? Hey, hun, thank you for tuning in. It's a manual designed to empower women. I know, man. Don't beat me up, but I need to look out for our women. It is to empower women to think intellectually about dating. No, this is not a book that is going to teach you how to date, but I'm going to present to you some truths, right, about dating. And I want you to think about some of these things that we do or have done when we participate in this system called dating. I want us to analyze or even, reflect on what we have been doing. Hey, how are you? What is that? It is TK. I know who that is. That's Tanya. I want us to really think about what we have been doing when we're dating and what does it all mean, and are there rules to dating, and who's taught you how to date. I want us to really dive into this topic, and then I also want to tell you guys about this dating panel that I'm going to put together. You guys, I'll put some information out there because I want you guys to participate in it. It'll be like small groups of people. I'll do multiple groups, as many as we need, to get some feedback into what you guys really want to know, or any questions, or even to get your point of view on dating, some of your experiences. I think that it will be, very important to add some of that into the book. So you guys will be my co-writers on this book. So stay tuned. I want you guys to be on the lookout for the dating game. It's going to be exciting. I already reached out to somebody to start developing a book cover for me. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, you guys. Okay, so let's get into today's Tea Time with Tia topic. If you guys have came in a room, speak. I told you guys that, you speak when you enter a room. But I want to go straight into Daniel, right? I want us to, let me go pull it up. I want us to look at Daniel. Let's take our lesson from Daniel, and then we'll kind of get into it and dive into it. And then I'll give you the topic, okay? All right, so we're going to start with Daniel 1. In the third, and it's the whole chapter, but it's good, you guys. And for some of you guys, it may be an introduction, and for others, it just may be a refresher. But I'm going to give you a different perspective on this same story that you may have heard, many times before. I thank God because He always gives me my titles, and I want you guys to know that it is important to God. What He has me teaching on every Wednesday, it is coming straight from the throne of God. So that means that it is important to Him. This is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that, I choose. to teach about. It is something that God wants me to share with you guys, his perspective on these topics. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start with Daniel. We're going to read the whole uh, first chapter of Daniel. So in the third year that Jehoiakim, and please forgive me of my pronunciation of these names, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay, you guys? Daniel 1. In the third year that Jehoiakim was king of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonian attacked Jerusalem and surrounded the city. The Lord let him capture King Jehoiakim and seize some of the temple's treasures. He took some prisoners back with him to the temple of his gods in Babylon and put the captured treasures in the temple storerooms. The king ordered Ashpenaz, his chief official, to select from among the Israelite exiles some young men of the royal family and of the noble families. They had to be handsome, intelligent, well trained, quick to learn, and free from physical defects, so that they would be qualified to serve in the royal court. Ashpenaz was to teach them to read and write the Babylonian language. The king also gave orders that every day they were given the same food and wine as the members of the royal court. After 3 years of this training, they were to appear before the king. Among those chosen were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, all of whom were from the tribe of Judah. The chief official gave them new names: Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Daniel made up his mind. Come on, verse 8. Ain't nothing more powerful than somebody with a made up mind. Daniel made up his mind not to let himself become ritually unclean by eating the food and drinking the wine of the royal court. So he asked Ashpenaz to help him, and God made Ashpenaz sympathetic to Daniel. Ashpenaz, however, was afraid of the king. So he said to Daniel, "The king has decided what you are to eat and drink. And if you don't look as fit as the other young men, he may kill me." So Daniel went to the God whom Ashpenaz had placed in charge of him and his 3 friends. "Test us for 10 days," he said. "Give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare us with the young men who are eating the food of the royal court, and base your decision on how we look." He agreed to let them try it for 10 days. When the time was up, they looked healthier and stronger than all those who had been eating the royal food. So from then on, the guard let them continue to eat vegetables instead of what the king provided. God gave the 4 young men knowledge and skill in literature and philosophy. In addition, he gave Daniel skill in interpreting visions and dreams. Come on. At the end of the 3 years set by the king, Ashpenaz took all the young men to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them all, and Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah impressed him more than any of the others. So they became members of the king's court. No matter what question the king asked or what problem he raised, the 4 knew 10 times more than any fortune teller or magician in his whole kingdom. Daniel remained at the royal court until Cyrus, the emperor of Persia, conquered Babylonia. Come on, you guys. Today's Tea Time with Tia topic is, if you are what you eat, then who hands are you eating of? Come on, you guys. I mean, when God gave me this topic to teach, I really didn't know where he was going. And I know, I share that with you guys like every week. I mean, I'm like, okay, how am I going to teach this? So, of course, the first thing I have to do is go to the Bible. That has to be my foundation for everything. So, the question God wants to know, the question that He's asking us to ask ourselves, right? Because it's always an introspective question that God is asking. It's not that He wants to know the answer, He wants us to know the answer. He wants us to be critical thinkers, right? So I told you that is what I'm here for. Tea Time with Tia is to help you see things God's way and not the world's way, right? To give you a kingdom perspective on things that we participate every day. That's why I'm writing the book. I want to offer a different perspective on something that we've been participating in, probably dating since we were, 14, 15 years of age. Okay, so the question is, if you are what you eat, then who hands are you eating of? So this is a two-part question, right? Because I want us to really focus in on, if you are what you eat, like what does that mean? I'm quite sure that there has been like television commercials that were created. You are what you eat, from your head down to your feet. I can't remember. I don't know where I got that from. I don't know if that was like a Sesame Street type of production, or if that was a commercial, maybe from the Food and Drug Administration. I don't know, but I just remember that jingle. It just came in my head. But let's focus right now on the statement, you are what you eat. So, of course, in my Bible study time, which my husband says that my research, he says I'm doing research. I mean, I'll go with that. I discovered that a French lawyer coined the term, you are what you eat, but he didn't state it in that manner. I want to read to you what he came up with. Um, and he says that, tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are. Come on. I mean, listen, this stuff cannot go over our head. I mean, I really want us to sit in this. I really want you guys to allow these words to minister to you. I always tell my husband when I need his undivided attention and I really want him to hear me, I always ask him to close his eyes when I'm speaking so that my words and my voice can minister to him, so that he won't just give me, a off the cuff or off the top of the head type of answer, that he will receive my words and allow them to, minister to him, and allow his ears to hear my words, right? And so I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are. And I thought that this was so, funny, because I was telling my husband that, we can tell a lot about a person just based off of their physical appearance, like how disciplined they are or aren't. I look at my physical body, right? And how I have a desire to be, much thinner, to weigh less than what I currently weigh. And if I had to judge myself just based on my outward, body type, physical appearance, that I can see that I am undisciplined in my eating habits. I can tell, right, that I'm somebody who eat things that aren't good for my body, right? You can even look at some people's face, their skin. and see outbreaks on their skin to say, hey, there's something that they're putting inside of them that is creating something on the outside of them. So I was just telling my husband, like, it really does tell us a lot about, ourselves. Or you see somebody who, is really chiseled and their skin is glowing. I mean, that says something about who that person is. Come on. Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are. Come on. Are you a meat eater? Are you a carnivore? Come on. I mean, tell me what you eat. I mean, this is so fascinating to me that what we consume, what we take in, what we eat. I mean, and if you think about it, right? I was sharing with my husband on last night that, I mean, this is really a true statement. I mean, because if you think about it, like, what are African Americans known for eating? Come on, somebody talk to me. African Americans, we are known for eating soul food. You tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you what you are. Come on. What ethnic group is more associated with eating pasta? Come on. Italians, right? Italians. So tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are. It is amazing that what we eat is attached to our identity. Have you ever thought of it that way? Your food, what you eat, is attached to who you are, your identity. I told you guys this is going to be good. I'm going to slow walk this teaching because I really want to influence your thinking. I really want to introduce some topics that you are already acquainted with, but I want to give it to you in a different way. I want you to see it and hear it in a different way. I mean, so then later on, so I told you in 1862, a French lawyer, they coined the term "you are what you eat," but they didn't say it that way. It wasn't until 1930 that an American nutritionist, Victor Lindlar, he was a strong believer in the idea that food controls health. So Victor Lindlar, he is the one that said you are what you eat. But it came from the French lawyer in 1862. Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you what you are. So American finally got revelation of this phrase and about nutrition, and he came up with the quote that you are what you eat. Come on, think about that. If you are what you eat, that should really make us take a second. It should really make us be more selective in what we consume. Come on. It should really make us consider what we're consuming. Now, I haven't even gotten to the part of the question, if you are what you eat, then who hands are you eating off, right? I just want us to just first grasp this concept of you are what you eat, from your head down to your feet. You are what you eat. So, what are you eating? What are you putting in your body? Okay, I want us to go back to Daniel. Let me see, is there anything else? The food one eats has a bearing on one's state of mind and health. The food that you eat has a bearing on your state of mind and your health. 90% of the disease known to man are caused by cheap food stuff. 90% of the diseases known to man are diet related. Come on, you guys. 90% of the diseases known to man are caused is diet related. You are what you eat. And if you tell me what you eat, then I can tell you who you are. Come on, our identity is attached to our food. I mean, I can do better than that. Let's go to Genesis. Come on. In Genesis, it tells us that we were created in the image and likeness of God, right? And then we see that God is telling us, hold on, let me see if I wrote it down. Hold on. I'm going to bring it up. In Genesis, it tells us, God tells us what kind of food he created for us, for both man and animals. I mean, that had to be important, you guys. I mean, if you think about it, food is very prevalent in the Bible. Think about Adam and Eve. Their identity was connected to food. Come on, one of you guys tell me how. How was Adam and Eve's identity connected with food? Because God said we were created in his image and in his likeness. So here we have that forbidden fruit. God told them that this is the tree that you can't eat of. And here comes the enemy, Satan, enticing them with food. And he changed their identity. Come on, you guys. They were already God-like. They were already created in his image and in likeness. And then the Satan comes on and he tells them, hey, he don't want you to be like him. He doesn't want you guys to know what he know. Well, you already was created in his image and likeness. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up. I'm gonna get back to Daniel. We not finished with Daniel. We just taking a side trip. We see that God in Genesis, he did a separation of two things. Let there be a dome to divide the water and keep it in two separate places. He separated light from darkness. Come on. Okay. Let me find it. Let light appear in the sky to separate day from night. And then God said, and now we will make human beings, they will be like us and resemble us. They will have power over the fish, the birds, and all animals, domestic and wild, large and small. So God created human beings, making them to be like himself. Come on, this is image. He created them male and female, blessed them, and said, have many children so that your descendants will live all over the earth and bring it under their control. I am putting you in charge of the fish, the birds, and all the wild animals. I have provided all kinds of grain and all kinds of fruit for you to eat. But for all the wild animals and for all the birds, I have provided grass and leafy plants for food. So God is showing us right here in Genesis, right? Chapter 1, starting at verse 29. I have provided all kinds of grain and all kinds of fruit for you to eat. But for all the wild animals, now he's telling us what type of food he's providing for the wild animals. And for all the birds, I have provided grass and leafy plants for food. And it was done. So here, God has already provided us with what we should be eating. I'm trying to see the Garden of Eden. Okay. Because I want to have receipts. I want to have receipts for what I say. I don't want y'all to just take my word for it. I want to have receipts. Then the Lord God placed man in the Garden of Eden and cultivated it and guarded. He said to him, "You may eat the fruit of any tree in the garden, except the tree that gives knowledge of what is good and what is bad. You must not eat the fruit of that tree. If you do, you will die the same day." Now, didn't I already prove to you that we were already created in God's image and in his likeness? So now he's giving us the rules. He's giving us the dietary restrictions, right? He's telling us what he created for us to eat, what will be good for our bodies, and what won't be. Then the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to live alone." And then here comes his helpmeet, right? And we're going to fast forward through that. Now the snake was the most cunning animal that the Lord God had made. The snake asked the woman, "Did God really tell you not to eat fruit from any tree in the garden?" "We may eat the fruit of any tree in the garden," the woman answered, "except the tree in the middle of it. God told us not to eat the fruit of that tree or even touch it. If we do, we will die." Then the snake replied, "That's not true. You will not die. God said that because he knows that when you eat it, you will be like God." Now, we were already created in his image and in his likeness. I'm telling you, so whose hand, come on, are you eating off? Are you going to eat off of what God tells you is good for you? Or are you going to listen to Satan and are you going to eat off of his hand? Are you going to allow him to tempt you into disobedience and forfeiting your identity, right? Because that's what Adam and Eve did. They forfeited their identity through food. Come on. The woman saw how beautiful the tree was and how good its fruit would be to eat. And she thought how wonderful it would be to become wise. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband, and he also ate it. As soon as they had eaten it, they were given understanding and realized that they were naked. So they sewed, y'all know the story. They sewed fig leaves together, covered themselves. They tried to hide from God. You can't hide from Almighty God who's all knowing, who sees it all. But they got themselves kicked out of the garden. And then they got, some consequences for their actions and they lost their identity. Come on, they lost their place. You saying, "Tim, where are you going with this?" I'm gonna let you know where I'm going. Let's go back to Daniel, right? So in the story of Daniel that we just read, you have three things that King Nebuchadnezzar. First of all, King Nebuchadnezzar is the one who took over. He conquered the Jewish people, Judah, right? And so now they become slaves, right? Daniel becomes a slave. But one thing about Nebuchadnezzar, he still allowed his slaves to serve and praise their gods, right? He did not try to, persuade them to, serve his God. So the first thing that the king says is, "Hey, I want you to, get these guys together. They got to meet my certain criterias. And I want you to teach them the way that the Babylonians know. You got to teach them." So the Babylonians, I wrote this down as well. The Babylonians, they had like a top-notch education, right? The Babylonians, they had knowledge of math and astronomy as well as medicine, right? They knew chemistry. Chemistry was one of their sciences, as well as theology and philosophy. So they had top-notch education in the Babylonian system. The next thing that the king wanted to do is he wanted to change their names. So Daniel Hebrew name was it meant my judge is God. So he changed Daniel name to Belteshazzar, and that means to protect his life. He was named after the Babylonian god Baal, right? You say, okay, that's part of his identity. No. Now the third thing that Nebuchadnezzar wanted to do, you guys, is he wanted to change their diets. And this is where Daniel drew the line. Come on, say our diet is connected with our image. I mean, I'm telling you, I just told you that you can tell who people are. You know, Hispanic people, I think what they like rice and beans, and I mean, it's just culturally, we eat certain things. You can tell. I mean, my friend Lisa, she's Italian, and she said it wasn't until she married her husband, who is Caucasian, that she always ate Italian food. She never ate anything other than Italian. But now, because her husband is from the South, she's cooking a lot of soul food. She cooks a lot of soul food. But so that French lawyer, he said, if you tell me what you eat, I can tell you what you are. I can tell you who you belong to. I can tell you whose hands you've been eating from. Are y'all following me? Okay. So then now God, he gave the Hebrews strict laws about their food. So this is where we go back to verse 8 where Daniel says, let me pull it up for you. Daniel made up his mind not to let himself become ritually unclean by eating the food and drinking the wine of the royal court. You got to think about this. The king, the royal court, he is eating the best. He is eating the prime cuts of meat. He is drinking the best wine. He got the first pick. I mean, think about that. Put yourself in that position. You sitting at the king's table. Everything is laid out. You got the best of the best. There's a scripture that says, let me find that. It is better to eat a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred. Come on, you guys. When we get a revelation that we are what we eat, it should start to change some things about what we put in our mouth. It should make us consider what we're consuming. See, Daniel's diet was tied to his identity because it separated them from the rest of the people. Go check out Leviticus. I want to say, is it Leviticus chapter 1? Let me make sure. No, Leviticus 11. Go check out Leviticus 11. There's a whole rundown of food, what they can eat, how they can eat. I wrote down something just to, paraphrase it really quickly for you guys. Pork and some other kinds of meat were not to be used at all. And when cattle or sheep were killed, the blood was to be carefully drained from them. These rules were not followed in Babylon. Daniel felt he would be defiled and dishonor God if he did not keep God's laws. So there were certain animals, specific animals that they could not eat. They had to and then the animals, they were considered clean and unclean, and then the clean animals had to be killed in a such of a manner, where the blood had to be drained in a certain kind of way. It couldn't be a barbaric type of slaughtering, because God knew that the way the animal died, and if you consumed it, right, it would affect you. Remember, we are what we eat. I want to hammer that idea into our minds. I want us to get a revelation that we are what we eat. It does matter how the animal was killed before you consume it. And these are rules and guidelines that God gave, right? Um, it's a lot to read in Leviticus. I don't think I need to spend that much time, but I do want to just kind of give a little bit into it. Leviticus chapter 11, the Lord gave Moses and Aaron the following regulations for the people of Israel. You may eat any land animal that has divided hoofs and that also chews the cud. Come on, that means to eat the plants and the grassy stuff. But you must not eat camels, rock badgers, or rabbits. They must be considered unclean. They chew the cud but do not have divided hoofs. So here you have some animals. You had two criteria for the animal that you could eat. They had to have divided hoofs and chew the cud. So you had some animals that had divided hoofs but didn't chew the cud, and then you had some animals that chewed the cud but didn't have divided hoofs. That means they were unclean. They had to fulfill both of the criteria. They have divided hoofs but do not chew the cud. Do not eat these animals or even touch their dead bodies. They are unclean. You may eat, this is who David is. This is part of David's identity. This is what separated them from every other nation of people. You may eat any kind of fish that has fins and scales, but anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales must not be eaten. That's crabs. Come on. That's clams, that's lobsters, that's those things. Such creatures must be considered unclean. You must not eat them or even touch their dead bodies. You must not eat anything that lives in the water. So I'm not bringing this to your attention for, you now to try to go back to Leviticus and start eating like this, right? You need to go to God in prayer and ask him what you should be eating and what you shouldn't be eating, because I believe that your diet is connected to your identity. And so some people need to eat certain things. So there were different kinds of people that had different diets based on what they were called to do. So, but I'm just pointing this out to you for our understanding that your identity is connected with your diet. I gave you three different ways that is true. If I looked at you physically, if I just looked at your body type, your physique, I could tell you whether you're disciplined in your eating or you're not, whether you're eating things that have nutritional value or you're eating empty calories. Come on, I can tell if you are somebody who is very selective in what you eat, or if you are just somebody who can't control themselves with your eating. I can tell your identity based on if you tell me what you eat, what your nationality is, or your ethnicity is, for the most part. This topic is important to God because He has me teaching it on today. And I'm telling you, this is probably going to be a 3 weeks topic, because we're going to get into who hands are you eating off, who is feeding you, and what are you eating? What are you consuming? But I also want us to take a look at us, right? I've told you guys I've been on my fitness journey, my 50 and fit journey. I still have not reached my goal because diet is something that has challenged me. So I have to renew my thinking as far as it pertains to my diet. See, because diet is 80% of losing weight. It matters what you eat. So God gave me a word because I've been in prayer to God and asking him, what should my diet consist of? This is what God told me, and I'm going to share with you. I got this word on Monday, October 30th at 8:30 a.m. He told me to eat what you are. Train your tongue to eat only to live. You can't live to eat. Master your senses and witness a transformation of your mind, soul, and spirit. Command your body to line up with your mind. You control your thoughts. Don't allow your body to control your thoughts. Come on, this is the word from God. So, even in this word that he gave to me, I want to go back to Daniel because now Daniel, he goes and he gets permission on what he should eat. He doesn't want to defile his body by eating the food from the king's table, right? So, here it tells us that Daniel now wants to have permission to eat just vegetables and water. Here it is. In verse 12, Daniel said, test us for 10 days. He said, give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare us with the young men who are eating the food of the royal court and base your decision on how we look. Come on, this is what happened. Let me go down and tell you. Here it is. He agreed to let them try for 10 days. When the time was up, they looked healthier and stronger than all those who had been eating the royal food. Come on, just vegetables and water cause them to eat healthier. Come on, there is so many opinions and ideas about what we should eat. Remember the food pyramid we got when we were children? Then we found out that that was incorrect. And then they changed it. Then they flipped the pyramid upside down because they had meat, dairy, and grains. They had the grains at the bottom. So then years later, they end up flipping the pyramid and saying, no, the bulk of your diet should be dairy, and then maybe 20% of, I'm sorry, the bulk of your diet should consist of grains and maybe 10% of dairy and 20% of meat or something to that effect. Come on. Here you got the king who have access to everything, to abundance, and they eating the prime and the top choice and the select cut. And you can think that the king got the answer. Like, this is how you should eat. Abundance to the full till you sit back and you rear back and you hold your stomach. Come on. And here comes Daniel, God's son, who said, give me vegetables and give me water. Because then you have all of these experts that tell you you need protein. Your diet has to have protein. If you eat a plant-based diet, you're not going to have sufficient nutrients. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a teacher, right? And we see it right here. And this teaching again is not me telling you what you should eat, right? You need to go to God for that. But I'm showing you how what we eat is connected with our identity. Come on, I've shown you this already. So then it says, when the time was up, they looked healthier and stronger than all those who had been eating the royal food. So from then on, the guard let them continue to eat vegetables instead of what the king provided. God gave the four young men knowledge and skill in literature and philosophy. In addition, he gave Daniel skill in interpreting visions and dreams. Come on. At the end of 3 years set by the king, Ashpenaz took all the young men to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them all, and Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah impressed him more than any of the others. Come on, say, I am what I eat. God told me that if I master my senses and witness a transformation of my mind, my soul, and my spirit, I will think clearly. I will get heightened. I will be heightened in my spirit. I will be sensitive to the spirit. My mind will be clear. You understand what I'm saying? All of those things, insomnia, not that I suffer that, I'm just throwing some things out there. Come on, you are what you eat. High blood pressure is diet related. Come on, you not being able to sleep is diet related. Most cancers are diet related. Come on, anxiety. You don't know how that meat was killed that you purchased from the supermarket. Come on, diet related. You take on the spirit of these animals. You take on the food that you consume, the process. Come on, the additives, the preservatives. Come on, all of those chemicals. Come on, you take on that stuff. That stuff now becomes intertwined with your DNA. How do you know, Tia? God told me to eat what you are. Well, what am I? I am a spirit that lives in a body that has a soul. My mind, my will, and my emotion. I am a spirit. God tells us that man cannot live off of food alone, but out of every word that comes out of God's mouth. I have to feed myself spiritual food because I have to eat what I am. I'm spirit. I live in a body. My body is living. I have living organisms and tissues, right? So I have to eat living food, not processed, prepackaged food, but food that is God's food, nuts and fruits and vegetables and meat. But you don't want your food to be uh, cooked down so much. Your vegetables, they should have a crunch to it, right? Water. The body is made up of what? 60% of water. Did God create juice? No, not orange juice and apple juice. No, I'm not talking about that juice because that's not the juice y'all drinking. Y'all drinking that what's that juice that my boys always get? Arizona iced tea. The real sweet kind. The Kool-Aid, the powder stuff that you add in water and sugar to. Those energy drinks. Come on, that coffee, caffeine and sugar. That's what you consuming. That's what you are. And then you wondering why you can't sleep. Or you wondering why. I mean, think about ADHD. That's a diet related illness. The first thing they do is change your diet if you're diagnosed with ADHD. He told me to command my body to line up with my mind. Oh, think about it when Jesus went into, he was tempted. What did Satan tempt him with? He said, turn that stone into bread. Come on, it's food. Because he knew that the minute Jesus would have gave in to his fleshly desires, Jesus would have gave up his identity. We need to be taught these things. And I'm telling you, Tea Time with Tia is the place to be. Because ain't too many people teaching what I'm teaching. You ain't heard these teachings before. You go back and look over the last couple of weeks. Well, all of them really. But we can go back to the last couple of weeks. You have not heard these things being taught the way I'm teaching them. Come on. Your food is linked to your identity. Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are. Let me look at your body, and I can tell you what you're doing. I can tell you're not disciplined or you are disciplined, and you are selective in what you eat. What time is it? Because, we going to get back into it. You guys know I don't like to give too much because I want us to get what I'm giving. I want you guys to get it so that next week we can build on this foundation. I think that this is good so far. Hold on. Let me see what other notes. Okay, this is a good way we can end it. This is something that I've read and I wrote down. We must choose to secure the best diet for the mind to utilize and assimilate into one's moral and spiritual character, as well as other expressions of personality. The world produces an almost overwhelming amount of spiritual junk food and outright spiritual garbage, and it is within easy reach of any mind, anywhere, no matter where one lives. Come on, we have junk food that is easily accessible. Are you going to be selective about what you eat? Or are you going to just take the first thing that you're offered? Come on, what are we going to do, you guys? Food is connected to our identity. Does your belief in God influence what you eat? That's the question worth meditating on. Does your belief in God influence what you eat? Forget about what you wear or how you spend your free time. We ain't even gonna touch on those subjects. We gonna just stick with the food. While the New Testament makes clear that all foods have been declared clean, we are also called to stand out from the world because of our commitment to Christ. Come on, you guys. I'm Tia Williams, and I hope you guys enjoy Tea Time with Tia. Anthony, don't you start no stuff with me now. Anthony, you said it should be, but temptation influenced me. Then you need to get back in the presence of God and speak some declarations over your body. Come on, you guys. So you guys, you definitely got to tune in next week as we continue this discussion. I wasn't even able to get in whose hands are you eating off of. because hey, Nebuchadnezzar was the one that was providing the food. But we'll talk about that next week. It's similar to who is feeding you and what are you eating. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. This is perfect. This is a perfect end of the year conversation, topic of discussion. I want us to hit the ground running. I want you guys to stay tuned and be on the lookout for my next project. It's called The Dating Game. Is it helping or hurting you? Come on, you guys know how I am. I take everyday things that we participate in and I give it a nice little spin and give you God's perspective on how, we should be doing and living and being, right? Do you guys have any questions? I hope this was good. It was really good to me. It was a wake up call. We should be more selective about what we eat. Do you guys have any questions? If you have any questions or you think about something later on, make sure you email me at asktiawilliams@gmail.com. That's ASKTIAWILLIAMS@gmail.com. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. Man, make sure you guys hit the share button. I'm telling you, nobody, you're not getting this kind of teaching from anywhere else. And I can't take credit for it. I'm just obedient to what God give me to teach. But it just really goes to show that it's important to God. Look, I went and purchased this at Staples. It's eating well, it's self-care. And so I'm on board with my journey on what I'm eating. And this book is really good because it helps me plan out my meals. So my husband and I, we have stopped eating out. We prepare our meals at home. We set up a time where we don't eat after 7. I think he does 8 o'clock at night. I do 7 o'clock at night. I'm following a meal plan. We're eating a lot more fruits and vegetables than we were in the past. I have my little shopping list. It has cases of water, apples, pears, grapes, blueberries, pecans, cashews, sweet potato, broccoli, asparagus, spinach, zucchini, yellow squash, bell peppers, avocado, mushroom, brown rice, salmon, zucchini, veggie spirals, and I think I got Brussels sprouts. Did I put that up there twice? No, Brussels sprouts. I already had chicken. Um, yeah, but so every day I put my starting weight up there. I don't know if you can see it. I track how much water I'm drinking. I put my breakfast, what I ate for lunch and dinner. I put my exercises down there. It has a mood, like how do I feel? What are my energy, my stress, my digestion? So I think it was like maybe $12. How do you feel since the transition of healthy eating? Anything you notice differently in you and him? Yes, I have. I've lost some pounds. I do feel I feel good just because I know that I'm making good choices. I'm sleeping better. For me, uh if I consume sugar, it gets stuck in my throat. It creates mucus for me. So even my breathing has cleared up. I thank God for that. I'm eating vitamins. I'm taking vitamins now because now I'm on my growing my hair journey. So I'm doing some different things. I told y'all 50, I don't want the same life I had before 50. I want to be a totally different person because I know more and I want to do better. So yeah, but I have experienced some things. My sleeping is much better. I feel just good on the inside because I know I'm making healthy choices. I know I have to be patient. I'm somebody who like results quick. But even my face is has been breaking out. But I think that's because of me detoxing my body, not eating, those things that I would normally eat. So I mean, even the fact of drinking water, I feel a tremendous difference by drinking the right amounts of water. I typically don't drink, a lot of sugary juices, but yeah, I feel good, and I know that it's a lifestyle. So that's it. Any other questions? It's 1 o'clock. Come on, you guys. Make sure you hit the share button. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to continue this topic. I think it was interesting. If you think about anything else you want to ask me or share with me, if you want to participate in my dating panel, which is coming soon, I got to get to work, you guys. I wanted to do something at my place, which is a nice little intimate setting because it's not going to be that many people. So I know I'm gonna have to be really strategic about who can come, but I also do some online panels as well. We can do some on StreamYard. I think I can add like maybe 10 people to the discussion. I posted a link. I hope you guys can see it. There it is. I posted a link. So at any time, if anybody wanted to join me to come on and ask a question or become my co-host and share in discussing some of these topics, I'm gonna have to vet you first, but we'll see what you're talking about. So I'll post the link in the comments next week. So if you wanted to, join me live, if you wanted to come on the stage and yeah, let's talk. Let's have some conversations. Okay, you guys, be blessed. Have a good day and hit the share button.